Hello everybody and welcome to a tutorial on how to use the new Sonoran CAD brought to you by the United Roleplay. So the first thing we're going to look at is the civilian department. So we'll go into the civilian department, and as you can see here I have no characters set up. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to press new character. This will give you a whole bunch of boxes to fill out. Very easy, very simple. First name, we're going to go ahead and just fill all these out. First name, last name. Middle initial. Some people don't have a middle name. This is a required field in the create a character. So all you need to do is just put just a random letter. It doesn't matter what you put. You don't have to give your middle name. So that shouldn't matter. You can only put in one letter anyway. Your DOB is going to be your date of birth. So it's going to be... Some people use their true birth date. Some people use their, some people have a character set for whatever it may be. I use my personal for this character because this is my main character. You can either set it up like this, where it's month and then the day and then the year, or you can do, you can set it up this way, where it is, just like that. I personally do month, day, year. So we'll do it like that. And then you need to calculate the age. I mean, obviously I already know my age. If you don't know the age of your character, just do 2020 minus, well, for me it'd be 1993. Or actually, you would have to do 2019 because it goes off of your date of birth. So that's that. Do some simple math, figure out your age. Sex, male. These are aliases. So some people have nicknames if you're in a gang, or some cops have nicknames. For me, mine's going to be hard ass. Also, because I already have my true character, I'm going to go ahead and just add I'm going to add an extra S onto the end. Your place of residence. So your place of residence, you're gonna just use the postal code that you see on the map, and then you're going to use the zip code over here. So the place of residence is, for me, is 1045 Procopio Drive, and then to find the area code, or the zip code, I mean, you're going to look at each individual area. So Mount Chiled, so pretty much the mountain areas in this part of the freeway have its own zip code. Paleto Bay all the way down towards the bridge where Fort Zancudo ends has its own zip code. Fort Zancudo has its own zip code, and then Grand Sonora Desert. So this is Grapeseed, Sandy Shores, Harmony, going all the way down the freeway. And then you've got the Eastern Valley, which is the La Mesa and pretty much the east side of Los Santos. That has its own area code. The hills up going toward in the Los Santos County has its own zip codes, or its own area code. And then the beach, the coastal one after the bridge on Fort Zancudo, has its own zip codes. And then Vespucci and all that has its own zip codes. The Los Santos Vinewood area has its own zip codes. Davis and all of the central Los Santos has its own zip codes. And then the airport, the docks, Strawberry Avenue and all that, Grove Street, that all has its own zip code. So for me, because I'm in Procopio Drive, that's all the way up here in Paleto, so I'm going to use 93015. So all of this is set up. Then we're going to go to the zip code. 93015. My occupation is just whatever your job title is. I'm a captain for BCSO. My height. So for height, it doesn't really matter if you do metric or imperial. You can either do it in feet and inches, or you can do it in meters. I'm personally going to use feet and inches rather than meters because that's what I know, being that I live in the United States. I'm going to use the apostrophe. My weight, obviously, you're just going to set whatever your weight is. Skin tone, same simple thing. Hair color, being that we can't physically add our own drop-down boxes, you're going to have to use one of these. If you have white hair, you can use gray. If you have like a color, like if your hair is dyed a different color, like a non-natural color, you can just set it for red. I'm personally going to set mine for black. Your eye color, same thing. We only have a limited list of colors. Like you don't have gray or anything. If your eyes are gray, you can just set them for black. Emergency contact. So this whole bottom row, so these two, so relationship and contact number, revolve around this number, around this contact right here. So for me, I'm gonna set mine for Joseph Cox. Whoops, Joseph Cox. My relationship to him is he is a work friend from BCSO. And my contact number for him, you can just create a random number. Don't use somebody's personal number, please. So 1-800-273-8255. It doesn't matter what you use. You can use your own personal zip code if you wanted, and you can use a 951 number. And then you're just gonna press add character, and that will give you access to see a drop down. If you create more than one character, you'll see, more characters down here. Let's say you misspelled something. So like, let's say like, oh, I realized I typed an extra S on accident. I can press edit character and come into these, and it'll bring up the entire list again, and I can go in and delete that or add something. Okay, so normally when you first create a character, you're gonna see 0 records here. You won't have any licenses or anything in here. And then we'll go to new DMV record. We'll go to license. Now, before you can register a vehicle, you obviously have to have a driver's license, and we have multiple different kinds of licenses here. The first one being the driver's license, hunting, fishing, commercial driver's license, concealed carry weapon permit. You have a motorcycle license, 1 through 4 weapon class, and boating. I'll go through all of these at the end. So then under status, so we're going to start with the driver's license. Under status, you want to set that to either valid, expired, or suspended. For this, we'll do valid. Now, a driver's license will always expire on your birthday. It always expires on your date of birth for the month and the day. The only thing that's different is going to be the year. So for the year, I'm going to put 2022. And then you're going to press add record. You're going to go back to records, refresh this page. You'll see 2 records. And then you can actually come in here, and if you need to, you can edit the expiration date. You can completely remove your driver's license if you need to, which I'm actually going to remove this one. So now I have this. And then that's pretty much it for, at least for the standard driver's license. The next thing that we're going to do is we'll do the vehicle registration. So I know all of this stuff up here probably looks like there's a lot, but there's really not that much. It's very simple. So the status for registration, you can set this for pending, valid, expired, stolen, or suspended. Obviously, everybody knows what all of these mean. The only one that may be different is pending. Pending could mean that you put in a request for registration for your vehicle, but they still have to look at your vehicle and they have to inspect it and everything and do all that fun stuff. But for this, we're just going to put valid. The expiration date will be how long it's going to take for your registration to be expired on your vehicle. So for me, we'll go with my true registration expiration, which is 07/31/2020. So mine will expire by the end of next month. You set that for valid, and then down here, all of this does is this just tells you who it's being registered to. So it's being registered to my character. It tells me all the information I need. Under vehicle type, we have sedan, coupe, SUV, truck, off-road, marine, motorcycle, and aircraft. So for vehicle type, we are going to look at sedan is a 4-door vehicle. So let's take a Toyota Camry or a Honda Civic, something very, very family type. That's a 4-door vehicle. A coupe is the exact opposite. A coupe is a 2-door vehicle. So a Dodge Viper, a Maserati, stuff like that. Mostly sports cars are what are 2-door, and then older import vehicles. SUVs are anything like Cadillacs, Cadillacs, Suburbans, Tahoes, Explorers. Those are all SUVs. And then you have trucks, which are like big Dodge Rams. You have Toyota Tacomas, Ford F-150s, F-350s, stuff like that. Those are trucks. Off-road would be if you want to register a dirt bike, if you want to register a off-road trophy truck, if you want to register a rock crawler. Any of that stuff would fall under the off-road category. Marine is obviously for aqueous vehicles. So if you have a boat, if you have a jet ski, that's actually pretty much it. If you have a boat or a jet ski, that's what you would register those to. Motorcycles, very simple. If you have a street legal motorcycle, so if you have a Harley, if you have a Honda, any kind of motorcycle that you want to register would go in there. And then you have aircraft. So you have Barons, you have Beechcraft Barons, you have Cessnas, you have Boeings, stuff like that. For this, we're just going to do a simple, we'll do a sedan. The license plate, I actually don't know the plate of my in-game vehicle, so I'm just going to make one up. So we'll just do 265 Juliet Romeo Tango 289. Or sorry, that's too many letters. There we go. For some reason, plates in GTA take up 8 spaces rather than 7, like normal plates do. So some people use 8, some people use 7, whatever it may be. I'm just gonna fill it in. All right, and then we have the make. We'll just do a Dodge. The model is gonna be a Charger. The color, we'll just put white. And then the year is whatever year it was made, so we'll put 2016, and then you'll just press add record. Now I can go to my records, and I should have, I'll have 2 records. So now I have 2 different sections as well. Now I have a license section, which I can see all of my different licenses, and I have a vehicle registration section, which allows me to see all the vehicles I have registered to Xack Ramos. So I can go ahead and close that. Finally, the only other thing we have here, other than the other kind of licenses, is the 911 section. So under the 911 section, we have types. So we have a civil call and we have an emergency call. The caller is automatically whoever you are set up as your selected character. The location, you'll put a postal. So let's say somebody's trying to break into my house. So it's 1045 Procopio Drive, Polito Bay. You don't need to put a zip code because that's not required here. And then description, you're just gonna put whatever is happening. So you can put white male in a black hoodie is attempting to enter my home, and then you'll press this button right here. Now back to the records. So I only have 1 license right now. I only have a driver's license, but obviously I have way more licenses than that. So I'm gonna go through each individual one. As very brief, I'm just gonna try and stick to them. If you have any more questions, you can refer back to the Discord, and you can go to the CAD link section, and you will see the entire list of what each license does. But for now, we're just going to look at each of these. So the driver's license obviously is your very standard driver's license. This is what allows you to drive motorized vehicles with 4 wheels on the road. Your hunting license, this allows you to go out and hunt if you want to hunt deer or any other kind of game during the proper hunting season and the proper hunting times. Fishing, there is 4 different kinds of fishing licenses. There's a daily license, there's a weekly license, there's a monthly license, and then there's a yearly license. And in some places have a 6-month license, but I usually only stick with the 4 because California. So with fishing licenses, you can just set up 1 fishing license. So you can set it to valid, and then if you're gonna go fishing, let's say you only go fishing maybe once or twice a year. If that's the case, you don't want to spend the $45 or whatever it may be for a yearly fishing license. You can set the expiration date for today's date. So if I do 06/14/2020, that means I'm only allowed to fish for the rest of today. As soon as it hits midnight, I can no longer fish. But let's say I bought a weekly license. That would mean I would set this for 6/21. That means I have one entire week to go fishing. If I want to take a fishing trip, I don't have to continuously keep buying licenses every day. Same thing for monthly. You would go until July 14th, and then yearly you would go until 2021. So that's the fishing license. And then if you want to create RP, obviously you can set this to be expired. Like you can set this as like 03 of the 14th, and you can set this for expired. And then obviously if you're fishing, you're going to get a ticket, and etc., etc. But I'm not going to do that. I don't even have a fishing license, so I'm actually not going to even put one in. CDL, this is a commercial driver's license. This is what companies use for if you drive semis, or if you drive a box truck and you're transporting goods and services to other locations. That's what a CDL is for. Same thing as the driver's license. You set that as valid, and I don't have a CDL IRL, but I believe they work with the same premise as regular driver's licenses. I think that you set it for your date of birth, month and day, and then you have to set the year. So I could say that mine expires this year, but I also don't have a CDL. But those are the same things. CCWs are a little bit different. CCWs are your concealed carry weapons permit. This is what allows you to have a handgun with you if you're walking down the street, or if you are if you're in your vehicle and you're driving somewhere. This is what allows you to keep your weapon on you rather than have it inside of a safe inside your home. So a CCW, you can set that date for whatever. You can set it for the August 15th of 2021. So that's all that's for CDLs. Motorcycle licenses, same thing as the CDL and the regular driver's license. It has to be on your date of birth, month and day, and then you just set the year that you want it to expire. So that's pretty much all of that, which I actually need to give myself a motorcycle license, even though I'm going to delete this character. So if I add that now, if I refresh this, I will see I have 2 licenses. Now I have a driver's license and a motorcycle license. And then I'm able to go in here. So if you want to edit one of your licenses, if you want to go in, let's say you need to change the expiration date. You can come in here and you are going to find whichever license you want. You're going to click on it anywhere in that bar. And then you can also change the license type, but you're going to change either the status or the expiration date and either extend it or leave it how it is, etc., etc. We'll keep going with, what is the next one? Weapon license 1. Okay, so the weapon classes are a little bit different. Most people don't know what weapon classes are. So the way that weapon classes work, and like I said, if you're further confused about these, you can refer back to the Discord. You'll find all of them in there. So weapon class 1, I will do I'll briefly talk about all 4 of them. So weapon class 1 is going to be any weapon that was imported into the United States. So if you have a German-made pistol, a German-made semi-automatic pistol that has been manufactured outside of the United States and was transported here and you bought it, that would be a weapon class 1. That goes for rifles, shotguns, and handguns. It has to be a semi-automatic weapon. Anything under a weapon class 3 has to be semi-automatic. So weapon class 1 is imported from the US. That means it was manufactured outside of the United States. Weapon class 2 is anything that was manufactured in the United States. So Smith & Wesson, Colt, any of those kind of firearms were manufactured here in the US. And if you don't know, you can always just make a guess. It's not a huge deal on which one of these you have. Where things get different is when you get to weapon class 3. This allows for short barrel rifles and shotguns, and it allows for fully automatic firearms. So fully automatic rifles, fully automatic pistols, fully automatic submachine pistols, submachine guns, stuff like that. And then for weapon class 4, the only people that can have a weapon class 4 are either ex-military with high enough clearance, or Department of Defense agencies, so police departments and military defense departments. Weapon class 4 is anything that is a destructive device, so grenades, to have any grenades, to have any kind of explosive device, javelins, tanks, light armor tank, or APCs, which are armored personnel carriers. And when I say javelins, I mean javelin rockets, not the giant stick that you throw in the ground. And then you also have jets, so like military jets are part of weapon 4 level, or weapon class 4. I personally, technically, this character doesn't have a weapon class 4, but my main character for the server has a weapon class 4 because he was a captain in the Marine Corps. So everybody has a different weapon license. Everybody kind of understands at least the basics for each of the weapon license or weapon class licenses. If you're caught with a fully automatic firearm and you have a weapon class 2 or 1, you will actually get that becomes a felony. That becomes a class Y felony, which is an arrest, which means that you will be arrested for it, and then the gun will be destroyed and the firearm will be destroyed. So that's pretty much it for all of the licenses. And also, lastly, before I go ahead and start on the police introduction video, the way that you get out of this menu, the way you get back to the main menu if you want to switch over to a different department or if you want to log out, is you click these three bars at the top left and you press community menu. That is pretty much it. The only other thing that you could use is the settings. So under the settings, you have your volume, because if you're police or fire, that's the only time you need that, or police or dispatch, I mean. You can change the voice if you're on Google Chrome or Mozilla. You can change the voice type. And then we also have hotkeys. So these are also only going to be used for police and dispatch, as well as fire and EMS. You can actually disable or enable them. You can also change what the prefix is and what button you press. But that's pretty much it for all those settings. There's also a download button if you want to get the actual Sonoran CAD app. It's an actual desktop app that goes directly on your desktop, so you don't have to have a browser open. But that's not going to be part of this tutorial video. Alright, so for those of you that need to figure out how to place an image in here, because you can't just take a screenshot and copy it, and you can't just drag and drop it in here. It has to be it has to be a link, but it has to be a picture link. So the easiest way to do this is if you have Yazo. So the easiest way to look at this stuff, if you need to find your character, if you took a screenshot in game, you're going to load up Steam. And then you're going to go to any of the games any game you've taken a screenshot in. So I've taken a screenshot in the crew. And what you're going to do is you're going to right click on that screenshot and you're going to press manage screenshots. So the way this works is you're going to go ahead and press show on disk. And I already have mine saved, but I did it wrong, so this is where you're going to find it. You're going to find it under Steam, user data. It's going to be if you only have one user that's ever logged in on your computer for Steam. And then you're going to do 760. And then ignore this folder. You're going to go into remote, and you should see 5M will always be 0 because it's a source mod. It's not a true Steam game. So all of your 5M screenshots will go right into 0. You're going to press screenshots, and then you'll find wherever you took a screenshot of yourself behind a blank background. But for me, I took mine in this folder. So what you'll do is you'll open this with either a media player or some kind of either Paint or Paint.net, whatever you may use. So I have it open right here. And what you want to do is you want to go ahead and you want to zoom in just a little bit, just so that you can get a nice look at your face, but without being too pixely. And then what you want to do is, if you use Yazoo, you can hold Control and Shift and then press C. This will make a hotkey for taking a screenshot. And then you want to get just below the neckline and just past the shoulders on both sides, and then maybe an inch or two above your head. And then you're just going to take a picture, or you're going to take a screenshot. That'll go to whatever your default web browser is. So here, most people would either copy the image or they would save the image to their computer. So what you're gonna, So what you're gonna do here, you're gonna go to Copy Image Location. This will give you the link, but it'll also give you the picture link. So after you copy the image's location, you're gonna go back to the CAD. And let's say I didn't have anything there. So it would normally look like this. It would normally have a blank picture. And you're going to press Control V. And this will allow you to now be able to see your proper picture. And that way, whenever they run your name, they'll see your picture. They'll be able to make sure that that's actually you. Try to make sure you don't have a hat on or you don't have any glasses on, because that can obstruct view for pictures. And that is pretty much it. So we'll head back to the menu and we'll get ready to do the police section.